few more people to log on, and we get started with our demo. We only have half an hour on today's presentation, and our focus is going to be on showing the new features of the software and giving you a feel for the interface. This is an interactive forum, so feel free to ask questions through the chat. And what we'll do is I'll give you a quick history on why we decided to launch V3 and start this development project, which has taken over almost a year for us to put together this new interface. Is we realized that recruitment was getting faster, that the volumes were getting bigger for a lot of our customers. Today we've got 5 times the volume that we were handling a year ago, and with this volume came a challenge, which is how can we be as responsive as possible when we have 5 times the volume as before, and hopefully we'll have 5 times more next year. So our current or our previous CRM interface didn't have the ability to in real time update the interface. You'd have to refresh the page or move from page to page in order to see what the latest was. And we wanted to have that ability, that technical ability to do messaging both internally within the team, so between recruiters, between hiring managers, and between candidates. So with that was the main driver for launching this new development project. And it was time for a refresh for a number of other reasons, and we took a lot of input from our customers, which is where we typically get most of our input. We go straight to the source, and we work a lot with high volume companies which have their own set of problems, usually that are related to big data, and so today we'll present all of this. I'll start by introducing my co-presenter, Lucas. Hi, Lucas.
Hi, everyone.
And we'll talk a little bit about. I'll share the screen now with our agenda for today. So we'll cover the ability to use natural language processing in order to enrich your database, which is a new capability which is in V3. We'll talk about the updated and refreshed search engine, which allows the recruiters to be much faster in the way they get to the right audience. We'll present as well the real-time interface and give you some examples of how that's going to affect your day-to-day life and your ability to talk to candidates faster. We'll show you how candidates can save your recruiter's time by scheduling their own interviews using the scheduler, and show you some examples of how you can tag colleagues to collaborate, a new feature in our new CRM. We showed this CRM to a few people 2 days ago, to a group of users in Asia, and we got I think a small round of applause for the export feature, which is a simple export feature, but it was designed with really with the users in mind. And so we'll show you how using this new export feature, you can extract all the data much faster than before, just the data that you need. And then Fun with Colors is a little segment about how to make your conversation with candidates a little bit more interactive and colorful. And then some room for Q&A. If there's anything else you want us to cover, you're welcome to raise your hands and ask us about it in the forum, and we can take Q&A at the end. All right. So to kick it off, Lucas, or should I? Do you want to do the NLP section?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Max.
Okay.
Yes. So just give me 1 second here. Yeah. So we'll go quickly through this, and then actually how we apply this inside the CRM, and then we'll go into the main chat CRM screen for everyone to take a look at. But we briefly wanted to speak about the technology that we use to enable us to build smarter conversations and also to let you capture data more efficiently. And so we work with natural language processing provided by the Google Dialogflow system. And what this allows us to do, amongst many other things with regards to making the chatbots work smoothly, it's also that we can extract and analyze, extract key data from open-ended candidate responses. So as you may know, with Talkpush, you can ask the chatbot, for example, or you can also use other methods, but you can use the chatbot to let candidates run through a pre-screening interview and ask them an open-ended question, be it via video, audio, text, or multiple choice questions as well. And you can ask the system to listen out for key information points there, and then automatically the system will look into the response and try to extract that. And so this example that you're seeing here, we have an example where a candidate would say, I spent 3 years with Acme Incorporated, and before that I was at B-Bank for a couple or 2 years. And so what the system would then do is extract, so we would tell it, look for a previous employer, because that's the natural response that we're looking for in this to this question. And then the system would actually automatically capture the key data point, which is the previous employer and the employment duration. And that lets you, and this data is saved to the candidate profile, so that lets you build a really high quality data view of the candidate, and also down the road lets you, in the process, automate processes around these. So as you might know, we have the smart filter functionality inside Talkpush, and together this with the smart filter is a very powerful technique. So yeah, so that's the technology side and the artificial intelligence that we use. And I want to quickly move into the CRM. 1 second. CRM here so to show you how this is being used inside the system. So we're looking at the campaign settings. So a campaign, for those who are not familiar, is pretty much the notion of a job that we have inside Talkpush, where your candidate data is stored. And so we're looking at the question section, which is where you would set up or configure the chatbot and configure what questions would be asked to the candidate. And so if I want to add a new question, I just go here and I could ask, tell us about your last work engagement. And we would expect a long text answer here. And now we can tell the system, please look out for previous employment data, because that's the example that we just saw, right? And then it's already set up. It takes a couple of clicks, and now what's going to happen is, while the candidate goes through the interview responding to these 6 questions, you can see, okay, the first question is going to listen out for industry experience. The next one's going to listen out for spoken languages and capture that data. We also get the notice period, previous employer. We actually have tons of data points that you can specifically look out for inside candidate responses. And that way map data from the candidate response to the candidate profile. And so while, imagining we now have candidates going through this interview process, let's take a look at the main CRM and see what to do once we have that data captured inside the CRM. And so now you're looking at the new version 3 of the Talkpush CRM. And as for those who are familiar with the previous iteration of the CRM, you can easily spot that the main structure has remained the same. So for example, you've got the candidate list in different folders on the left, you've got the main chat in the center, and you've got the candidate profile here on the right. And let me just quickly move this. Okay, so one of the key themes that we're trying to, or goals that we're trying to achieve with this new interface is speed. So we implemented a series of improvements to let you more efficiently work with your data, be faster working with your data, also be faster working with the candidate and speaking to the candidate, and Max will be mentioning a couple of techniques there, and also being faster with the collaboration within your team. And the foundational layer, so we had to make a lot of new changes to our back end, and now we have a real-time interface, which is very exciting. So what this means is that as we are looking at the interface, any kind of change that's happening at the same time, so any interview that might be happening in the background or any conversation between your colleagues and the candidate, you would notice right away. So the interface will update itself automatically, and we have a new notification system. So you can see, for example, that Raj here sent us a message about 5 minutes ago. And if we click on it, we can actually go to this candidate. Oh, and he just sent another message. So really, you can see that you as the candidate, you as the recruiter, are instantly notified of what's happening in the system. So while you're working on your candidate database, you can actually jump into the conversation with another candidate and just engage with them. Okay, so on the foundational layer, we have a real-time interface now that makes the processing of applicants much faster and more interactive for you as a recruiter. And so, yeah, and so the next thing that we really improved here is we've kept, so it's smarter with regards to capturing data, and you have a better structured database. So that allows us to actually have a much better search functionality. And you can see here we've got thousands of applicants in this account, but we're going to move into one of our campaigns here. And so with the previous interface, we had the search and the filter. And one request that was very common and we were really excited to help with is basically combining these two features into one more powerful search feature. And that's what we've managed to do here. And so you're looking at the new search, which allows you to actually have these search options. So you can go from a very simple search, just searching for a name, or you can combine these search options to create a very complex query to really filter your database here and find very specific profiles. And so let's assume I'm looking for applicants who completed the interview or who were added to the database over the last few days. So I can go in and select time frame. And I know that my colleague already pre-screened them and actually added labels to these candidates for example, customer success. And as you can see, I can just type these key data points here, and then I'm good to go. I just select a couple of data points, press enter, and now I can search my database. And so in this example, for example, we've got Rhea here who completed the interview on the 9th, and she's looking for, and she's got the customer success label here. And that's one scenario, but we can also do more complex searches, for example, or other complex searches. So we could look, for example, for applicants that speak Japanese. So that's data point that's mapped from the questions to the candidate profile. So in this scenario, we've asked these candidates what languages they speak, and turns out that these candidates speak Japanese. Okay, so that's a demonstration of the search right there. And another feature so looking at the candidate profile that was important to us was with regards to collaboration. So how do you better communicate data around the candidates between the team? And as Max already briefly mentioned, we've got this new feature that lets you tag candidates. And you can see tag team members inside the comments. And you can see there's a comment here already. I'll just demonstrate it for the demo's sake again. So I can quickly, type add how you would do it in a different interfaces or in many interfaces, and select one of your team members. Let's go with Andre again, and then just copy the same information here. This candidate is great, and you can now also format the comments to really make data stand out. You can add key data points or a list and really present data in a more structured way, and that way make it easier for your team members to see what you feel about a candidate and them to get back to you. And so in this scenario, Andre here would get a notification now while he's on the CRM that he was tagged in this candidate. Okay, so that's the commenting feature. And then another exciting feature that we've got, which Max already mentioned, is with regards to speed, being more efficient with the candidate. One thing that we want to allow you to do is actually automate the process of scheduling, because that was a very common request. So that's what we implemented. And so all you need to do for that is you can automate the process so it happens completely automatically, or if you want to manually review a candidate and then you shortlist them and then you go for it, then you can send a message down here, for example, and we've got these smart tokens, which as you type, you can autocomplete. So hi candidate name, and we can say please schedule an interview here, and then we'll just send the interview scheduler link. And we can send it to this candidate. And so if we go to this link now, we can see this is the candidate view, right? So this is the view that the candidate will see as they go through the interview process or as they just receive this message. And as you can see, they can go in, they can select time slots, and they can choose a date and time. And then they're ready to go. And they can also reschedule if they would like to. Okay, so that's one of the new features that we brought along with this interface, which is being able to automatically schedule the candidates. And one thing, so the next thing that Max already mentioned, which got us a round of applause the other day, is the export. So we know a lot of our clients have very important analytics and very different analytics regarding the industry or the requirements, and we want to make it super easy to get to your data, because in many interfaces, either you can export everything at once or you can't export anything. And so what was important to us is to make the data as flexible as possible and the export as flexible as possible. And that starts with already just being able to export search results. So you can perform any search result as search on your database, and then you can go in and you can, based on the search, you can export any data point that you would like on the candidate. So you could have the candidate name, or you could have the education. You can really select the profile of data that you want to look at, and then just go ahead and export it. And I'll just go ahead with that. Okay, and then you can also see the data is available instantly, so you have the file there in Excel and you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'd like to add on this that this data isn't just the data that you've generated from your Talkpush interview, from the smart questions that we ask at the beginning, but it can also be data that's captured from your resumes or from LinkedIn or from third-party sources. So we're becoming a lot better at making sure the data is mapped, and that allows you to then afterwards do those exports and send them to Tableau, to Power Insight, Business Insights, whatever analytics platform you use in order to do your analysis and your reporting. So that's a very, very flexible tool here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Max. So as Max mentioned, we can also offer ways to integrate with your respective systems and also automatically push this data. But so this data is really painting a very complete picture of the candidate, and you can use multiple sources to gather this data. And so that is the export of the search results. However, the general export of campaigns has also been improved a lot. So now you can export from multiple campaigns at the same time. So for example, this Talkpush team member campaign and then the customer success lead. Then you can look at what time frame do you want for this data? Are you looking for the last month? Are you looking for the last 6 months for your report? Are you looking just for the candidates of the last few days? And then again, you can select the key data points that you're looking for, and then you go ahead and export. And one way that has proven to be very effective at increasing the speed of your exports is actually this new feature called most recent exports. So a lot of users have the same reports that they're generating, be it weekly or daily. And for these reports, they have to get the same data every time. So what we allow them, or what's possible to do here now, is that with one click, you can actually generate the same export as last time, just with the updated data. And 1 second. And that way really improve the speed of gathering data from the system and creating those reports. And obviously, all this data that you get access to is, of course, depends on the data that you have been given permission to access in the system, right? So every campaign has different permission levels, and so you have an admin for the account, and then every user can only access the data they're given permission to access. Okay, and so that's the new export feature. And with that,
We're almost done.
We're almost done. So with that,
we want to show the ability to chat with in a more fun way. Fun with colors, we called it. So well, if you're communicating with millennials, which I have to do all the time, then you know that your message is not going to get across if you're not using some form of imagery with your text. So you can now enjoy the ability to do this kind of chat right here with use the emojis that are right here listed inside your chat box, in the messaging box inside the Talkpush. So you can send an emoji of a green apple, for instance. You can also send images inside your message, so just inserting any image or any GIF here. And we highly encourage our customers to work on a branded experience. And we spend a lot of time working with customers to understand their brand, and then to build a workflow which has both text and images and video and GIFs in order to communicate their brand personality and to stand apart from others. And you can, as you can see in the example on the screen here, you can add images, add videos, add personality, and do so using natural language processing powered by Dialogflow and Google in I think over a dozen languages today. So that's obviously that's not all automated. It's not all self-serve. If you want to create your own chat, of course, you might want to work with our conversational designer to build something like this. So here's another example which is done in the local Filipino language, where we have a bot with a different type of personality. So so that's our presentation today. I see that there's a few people chatting here. No questions asked so far, but I welcome any questions from the participants. Q&A, no, nothing there. No questions. Oh, I've got somebody raising their hands. Is it Federico?
Yes, sir, that's me.
Okay, great. Go for it.
Thank you. I have a question in regards to the way the candidates are sorted in the CRM. So the candidates, we get the candidates every time we upload new candidates or we get new applications. They get to the beginning of the list, let's say, of the my leads that each of the recruiters have. So what happens with that? It's that it kind of lets the ones that applied maybe two days ago or 3 days ago, it's gonna keep them in the bottom. So it's kind of difficult to get to them. And my concern is that we might be losing people because we're always looking at the recent ones or the most recent ones in the beginning, and there is no way to sort by date or, you know, put it the oldest to newest or newest to oldest. Is that something that can be looked at and see if there's a possibility to change that?
Thanks, Federico. And I start by saying that this is not the first time I'm hearing of this request, and I know it was coming from you before. So you are definitely being heard, and we discussed it internally. And we haven't reached a consensus on how people want the list of candidates to be ranked. A lot of people say, well, there was a counter argument, a rather convincing counter argument for ranking it the other way. And you know, we'd like to give you that option. So we'll get back to you on an ETA for that. One data that we track now every week is the average completion time for candidates. Today we have about 85% of candidates who, from the moment they click to the moment they finish their application, completed within 5 minutes, and we think we can increase that a little bit. We're also tracking the amount of time that candidates spend inside the shortlisted folder, or all folders, so that if you see that month over month, you see that your candidates are staying too long in certain stages of the process, we can give you a report on that, and you know, you can then also manage your team, your recruitment team, to just get on it and move the people down the process a little bit faster, and the average response time to candidates as well. So thanks for your suggestion, and we'll try to do the double ranking where you can rank them the other way. I think that's a good idea, and Lucas will give you an ETA on that. Okay. Any more questions? Thanks, Federico. All right. Well, if no more questions, we'll keep it short, and we will send the recording so that all the participants can share with their team and their colleagues. And if you know, if you'd like to do a more in-depth session about some of those features, or a one-on-one session with your team to learn about these new features, we've got a global customer success team, which is happy to walk you through all of that, so that we can get the most out of the new CRM. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.